Ravioli, it would seem, has a pretty good shelf life. Greetings and welcome once again to Roman of the Empire. I am your host, Roman. Today we're going to talk about The Last of Us, Episode 4, Please Hold My Hand. Well, after last week's episode, of which I thought it was largely a waste of time, this episode seems, I don't know, it was all right. It was an okay episode. It wasn't fantastic. I liked episodes 1 and 2 better. Episode 3, like I said, there was just a lot of time waste. In this, we see some, I think, shadowing of things to come, maybe is a nice way to say it. You do see the relationship between Joel and Ellie getting stronger, and you also are introduced to another segment of humanity. This is the Kansas City, we'll call them the Resistance. So, and there are other elements, monster stuff to come as well. So it was all right. It was all right. I can't say it was super exciting to watch. It was only 45 minutes, so that was kind of good. But it was all right. It was all right. So we'll get into this, and then we can talk about some of the more interesting aspects. And there were some good elements in this episode as well. We open up with Ellie. Remember, she got the gun in the last episode, and there's a mirror, and she's doing the like taxi driver thing with the gun. Okay. Remember, we've talked. She's kind of an odd bird, Ellie. Remember the incident with the fungus zombie last week, where she cut its head open, stabbed it in the head. Peculiar. She's peculiar. So she's got the gun now. So she comes out, and they find out they're at a gas station. Joel's siphoning off gas from old cars, and we do learn, and this is not science, that gas breaks down. So you don't get as far as you used to out of the amount of gas you once could. So they have to do this more often than he would want. Ellie asks him about how the siphoning process works, and he tries to explain it, but he and she realize he has no idea. He just knows that it works. Fine, that's all that matters. Ellie also finds a book of puns. Joel's not happy about this. Not happy at all. Ellie is very amused with it. Joel is not thrilled. But this is a part of Ellie where we actually get the kid part. Like I said, she's a strange character. They made her too hard to begin with, and now they're softening up the character in parts. Okay. And so this is kind of amusing, and the puns play out throughout the episode. They get back in the truck. They're on the way. Ellie's screwing around in the back seat. She finds one of Bill. Remember, this is Bill's truck, and you remember Bill's relationship with Frank. So they find a book of male erotica. I guess there we go. And Ellie's looking at it. Joel's like, "Oh no, no, no!" So she flings that out the window, and then she finds a Hank Williams tape, and Alone and Forsaken is playing as they're driving through the landscape, and that's a cool piece of music for this show. And like I said, the scene was amusing. It's as funny as a zombie apocalypse. I can't speak. Scene is gonna go, but it was all right. It was pretty funny. Then they get off the freeway and they make camp. They're having a canned 20-year-old canned Chef Boyardee ravioli, and she's scarfing it down, and it's pretty funny. And she wants to build a fire, but he's like, "Yeah, there are worse things out here than the fungus zombies. Humans end up being the worst thing in these scenarios, and it's pretty funny. People will do far worse things than rob you, is the way Joel puts it, and he's right. That is the worst parts of humanity are the ones that will come through in this type of event, and the better parts of humanity are going to be in the minority. So it's a scary prospect, but it's a very real scenario. So she does another pun right before they go to bed, which Joel is again not particularly thrilled about, and then she asks some serious questions. She's like, "Tell us no one's going to find us out here." And they're both laying down, and they turn the lights off. They're the camp light, and he's like, "No one is going to find us." And you can tell this is weighing on Joel though. So you get a scene of him just standing watch, holding his rifle, looking out into the night, making sure nothing is going to happen. The next morning, there's a pot of coffee brewing, something fancy they got obviously from the Bill and Frank camp. Ellie said it smells like burned dog poop or something to that extent. Clearly not a coffee fan. And then Ellie starts asking questions about the trip to Wyoming. Joel's brother comes up. Tommy, he was always a joiner. He wanted to be a hero. He joined the army. He joined a group of the travelers before everybody had really come together after the apocalypse. That's where they met Tess. And then, of course, he joined the Fireflies. And then that's fallen out, which is why Joel is out there in the first place. He's looking for his brother. He knows he's in Wyoming. And they're going along. If Ellie's like, well, if you don't think there's hope for the world, what point is there in going on? And Joel's like, well, you haven't seen the world. You don't know. Then he's, well, you keep going for family. And that's about it. Remember, at this point, they haven't bonded, really. She is not family. Ellie is not family. Ellie is cargo. So just think of it in that context. Tess was like family. Ellie is not. Now, they're in the car. Ellie falls asleep. And she wakes up as they're basically stopping on the freeway. They're traveling the freeway system. Well, the entry to Kansas City is blocked. There's been a truck accident, many years ago, but the freeway is just impassable now. And Joel's like, so he knows what this means. They're going to have to go through the city, which is never an option you want for a myriad of reasons. I mean, we saw what happened in Boston. This is actually an interesting episode. You don't see any of the fungal zombies in this episode at all, not one. The threat here is the humans. But much like Walking Dead, you get it's a similar, same kind of vibe. So this is a tense scene. So as they go into the city, and you feel the walls coming in here. And Ellie is not a great navigator, especially in the city. Freeways is easy, city not so much. And then he tells her, Ellie tells Joel to stop. They can see the FEDRA, that's the government agency that runs basically the United States at this point. Their station, much like the one in Boston, except this one's abandoned. There's no guards, but there's a man holding his stomach, staggering for them, help, help. And Joel's like, oh, hell no. And they slam the car into, accelerating and go. Joel knows what this is. It's an ambush. This is standard ambush 101. Now there's gunfire, and Joel runs over a spike strip. It's an ambush. They've set it up. He drives through a shop front. They hop out of the car. There's a little opening in the wall. He tells Ellie to go through there, hide. And he takes out two of the gunmen. Then his rifle jams. And a third comes in. And Joel does not have the advantage here. And the guy, they're wrestling, and the guy puts his rifle on Joel's throat, and he's choking him out. Ellie comes out and shoots the guy in the back. But he doesn't die. So now he's pleading for his life. Joel gets up because Ellie can't finish the job. So as tough and as hard as we are led to believe she is, as she has led herself to believe she is, she's not yet. And so Joel tells Ellie to go. The guy is pleading. He's like, "You can have my knife. You can have my knife. It's a great knife." And Joel ends up, you don't see it. It's off camera. He kills him with his own knife. Well, ammunition. It's a commodity. So they're hiding now because it's just a bad situation. So they're in this room with a bunch of newspaper lining the windows and such. I'm sorry. They've made it to a bar. This is where they're hiding out. And Joel takes the gun from Ellie, and he's apologizing to her that she had to do this, that she's too young, and she's trying to hold it together. But you do see some cracks in Ellie's toughness finally. So they're talk about. I'm sorry. I've got ahead of myself. We moved to a different part in the city. There's a woman named Kathleen. I am sorry. Like I said, I got off track. It happens. I'm very old. Who's doing an interrogation? You realize who these people are. This is the Kansas City Resistance. She's interrogating a man in a. They've made cells out of kind of container boxes, cargo shipping boxes. And she's running through a list of names. She's trying to find someone named Henry. And it's revealed that her brother was beaten to death by Fedra. And the guy she's interrogating was a Fedra informant. He's also a doctor, which I think shouldn't be lost in this. And he's like, I delivered you. I held you in my hands. And she pulls a gun on him. He's like, whatever. Now, doctors are not something that I think there's probably a lot left of here. So whatever you're going to do, you probably shouldn't. If you need to keep him at bay, fine. But you don't waste a resource like this. She's called out to the street. They bring the bodies in from Joel's, the incident, the ambush that went badly. And she thinks that it's maybe Henry who set this up. She believes he may have called in outsiders. We don't know who Henry is. We know that he is someone she is interested in finding. Now, she returns. She's pissed now. She returns to the cell and shoots the doctor. Again, remember we go back to the Fireflies in Boston, and I said that regular people, civilian rule in this kind of environment is probably not great. You need centralized authority. Otherwise, it's chaos. And again, I know that the government isn't going to be great. I know this. But there are pragmatic reasons why you would want to do something like this. Otherwise, it's just piracy. And, whoever the strongest warlord is wins. That's what the resistance becomes. There are very few instances where you're going to have good bands of people roaming around trying to do things. Because ultimately, you're going to have to use harsh tactics. It's an unfortunate part of this type of a world. So, anyway, I digress. Kathleen, now rallies the troops. They are going to go on a search for Henry, and they're using the same tactics that the soldiers used. They've got, they're breaking down doors with the big battering ram things you've seen the feds use, and they're kicking in doors and they're doing all the same things. Okay, how is this better? That's where I go for that. Now, Joel and Ellie are hiding out in a bar. This is what I sidetracked myself earlier. They're trying to get to a tall building. They want to get an observation of everything from above so they can see the best way out. Now, this is where they start talking about the incident. And again, Joel is sad that Ellie had to do this. And she tells him it's not the first time that she's killed someone, or maybe killed someone. And then he pulls out the pistol that he took from her earlier, and he gives her a crash course in pistol grip and all the stuff. So this was a weird kind of bonding moment for them. And he's like, we'll get through this. And she says, I know. Okay. Now, Kathleen and her first lieutenant, or captain, or whatever we would call him, Perry, are inspecting the scene of the ambush. And Perry has something to show her. And they go up into like an overhead area. And it's filled with empty cans, sleeping bags, and children's drawings. Featuring, it's like two superhero type characters. And she's like, Henry won't let Sam starve. So Henry, whomever this person she's looking for, has someone named Sam who is clearly close to her. I mean, we don't have a lot of parts to fill in here. And then they go to the basement of the building, and there's this big fracture. The floor is all smashed. It's almost like, the pavement's just destroyed, but it's heaving. And you hear these noises. It's like, oh, dear Lord, what is this? We don't know. We don't see it. And Kathleen tells Perry not to tell anyone, and he until they get this taken care of first. So whatever this horrible future threat is, you're going to have to wait. They've clearly seen something like this before. And this is some of the future stuff that I said this episode alludes to. Because there's not a whole lot more to this episode. There's just not a lot that happens. It's nightfall. Joel and Ellie make it to the skyscraper. They go up as far as they can. It's 30 some odd floors. Joel's older and tired. And the conversation comes up about the past again, about how Joel knew it was an ambush from when they went into the city. How did he recognize it so quickly? And he's like, we used to do the same thing. Me and Tess and Tommy. We were trying to survive. So, and he knows it wasn't the right thing to do. And she even actually asked him, did you kill innocent people? And he doesn't answer the question. So the answer is probably yes. Survival is a terrible thing in something like this. Good people, Joel's not a bad guy, but he had to do bad things. That's where this becomes a really gray, horrible area, and why generally a centralized authority is going to be better once the chaos can be contained. I talked about this before. There's not a great answer to something like this. There are better bad answers. So that's why he was familiar. He knew it was an ambush. Of course, we knew it because we've seen it before, and because we've seen this type of scenario before. Now they break into a room where they're going to be settling for the evening. They put cushions on the floor. He's taking glass and spreading it across the floor. She's like, is that supposed to be like an alarm? And he's like, yeah, that's kind of the point to it. And now they're getting ready to go to sleep. And Ellie has one more joke. Did you know diarrhea is hereditary? It runs in your genes. Bump. And as bad as it is, Joel actually laughs. He doesn't want to laugh, but he laughs. It's at the end of a bad day. A little bit of humor will lighten you up. So they actually both fall asleep. And then, of course, Joel's woken by Ellie shouting his name. And he opens his eyes, and there are two people with guns. One, an older person, not as old as Joel, but there's a child and an adult male holding guns on them. He didn't hear the glass, clearly. And we actually have a cliffhanger this week. That's where it closes. So this opens up, who is Henry? Who is Sam? Who are they to Kathleen? What's under the floor? We still have, this was episode 4. There are 5 more episodes to go in the season, so we're about halfway there. We're finally seeing the bonds between Ellie and Joel grow. As slow as that train is coming. Ellie was not terrible in this episode. I didn't, like I said, they started her off as too hard a character. I mean, we see these lighter moments, and like I say, it opens up with her doing the taxi driver thing. But when the moment came, she actually didn't kill the guy. Maybe if she had killed him initially, she could. It would have been, it would have been all right. But because he didn't die from that shot, and she had to make less of a critical decision in shooting him, that was harder. And Joel's had to finish that off. The jokes, the puns, again, are making her a more likable character. So I'm glad that they're doing that because I was worried about that in those first couple episodes. She wasn't she wasn't easy to get along with. So that's good. It's forward progress. Like I said, not tons happen in the episode. We end on a cliffhanger, and we see the fractures of humanity and what they are becoming or what they've become over the last 20 years. So it was an all right episode. Like I said, I can't say it was great, but you did get some stuff, and I think the next episode you'll probably get a lot more based on what we saw here. So we have that to look forward to. That's really it for now. Keep watching the show. I'm going to keep watching the show. I was hesitant after what we got last week because I didn't know what they were going to do, but this one was enough. I hope the pacing is a little bit slow for me now. I like that they were taking their time in the first couple episodes. This one it's only 45 minutes. It felt longer than 45 minutes though. Anyway, so we'll see what happens in the next one. We'll see what happens in the next one. Other people are covering this. The guys over in Flaccid Phoenix are doing a really great job with this. They'll probably have a show on. It's Monday, so Monday night. But check out their channel so you can see them talking about it. They'll probably have Zach's on as well. They have a good perspective on their show as well, a good balanced perspective. Because these aren't game folks either. These are people like me who are just watching the series for the series itself, and that's an important thing to remember. So you guys, we'll see what happens next time, right? For now, this is Roman of the Empire signing off. Please like and subscribe if you have not, because the channel really does need it. Be kind.